young girl walking down the street after leaving her office. Feeling tired from her monthly office tasks, she decides to get some sleep. As she enters her house, she slips and falls to the floor, her head hitting first. Realizing that her body isn't moving, she wonders if she's going to die. Just as she thinks so, her soul comes out from her body, and she passes away in the next moment. She then says that all she wants is to live a long life, but it turns out to be a short one. Thinking about her parents, whom she didn't even get to say goodbye to, she cries out loud, expressing that she doesn't want to die like this. Just then, her surrounding area changes, and a guy in white clothes makes an appearance in front of her. The guy tells her that her lifespan is fixed and cannot be changed, but if she helps him with the task, he will change how she dies. It turns out that the guy in front of her is a god. The god then tells her that humans are currently killing other species in a world known as Azdalan, and he wants to reincarnate her into that world so she can decide the fate of the humans. Surprised by this, the young girl informs him that she is sensitive and cannot do something like that. The god informs her that if she completes the given task, he will reward her with special powers, including teleportation and killer abilities. Irritated by this, the young girl reveals that in all her life, she only wanted to pet fluffy things, and petting fluffy animals is the only thing that soothes her exhausted heart. Understanding her feelings, God grants her special powers and tells her that when she reincarnates in another world, she will have the ability to tame beasts, monsters, and all living creatures, but her powers will not work on humans. The young girl shouts out loud and tells him that she didn't agree to his request. However, the next moment she wakes up in a house with her family welcoming her into the world. She is reborn into an Oss family, and her parents give her a name called Nefertime. Her older brother and sister call her Nema and begin praising how cute she looks. However, Nema still can't believe that she has really been reincarnated. The narrator then reveals that Nema reincarnates into a city named Lartia, which is the largest of Azdalan's 3 continents and is the home to the kingdom of Gash. Her big brother Ralph is a very gentlemanly guy, and her sister Karna is very energetic. Even her parents are beautiful and kind, except her father who gets cozy sometimes and can be very disappointing. She also has a dog named Dee, who always protects her, eating, sleeping, being coddled by her family, and petting fluffy animals. Since this was the life she wanted in her past life, Nema thanks God. The next day, her mother is invited to the royal palace to do some work, but she doesn't know what to do, as her husband is working and her son and daughter are at the academy. Since she cannot take Dee to the royal palace as animals are not allowed there, she asks Nema if she can be a good girl if she takes her there, and Nema happily agrees. On the way to the royal palace, Nema sees people interacting with each other with happiness and joy, and thinks that they don't look like people who will pursue others. At the palace, her mother casts a protective spell on Nema, just to make sure that she remains unharmed while she completes her work in the royal palace. After her mother's departure, Nema sees a bird flying and follows after it, but the bird is too fast, and she gets tired following it. Just as she is about to take some rest, some animals surround her, and she begins to pet them. However, their moment is short-lived as a giant white tiger emerges in front of her. Due to her God-gifted powers, the giant white tiger begins to lick her instead of attacking, and Nema hugs him while feeling his fluffy body. The white tiger then puts her on his back and takes her for a ride to the royal palace. Just then, a boy appears, calling the giant white tiger Lars, and telling Nema that Lars may behave well, but he is still a beast and asks her to get down from his back. He takes Nema from his back and holds her in his arms, but Nema hesitates and wants to be put back. The boy gets surprised at the behavior of Lars since he hasn't liked anyone more than him before. He asks Nema about her parents, and she tells him that she belongs to an Oss family, and her name is Nema. Hearing the name Oss family, the boy takes both of them to an office. There, she meets his father, who is already working in the office. Her father asks her what she is doing in the royal palace, and the boy informs him that he rescued her while she was playing with Lars in the yard. Shocked at this, her father hugs her and then thanks the boy for saving his daughter, calling him his highness. It turns out that the boy is the prince of the kingdom of Gash. He asks Nema to say thank you to the prince, and she obliges, albeit in an ill-mannered way. Just then, the man who was sitting next to her father comes to her, and she formally introduces herself to him. It turns out that the man is Galdi Russ Gash, the king of the kingdom of Gash. Seeing how well-mannered she is, the king takes a liking to her and tells her to come visit the royal palace next time, and he will let her play with Lars again. Later, her mother shouts at her for leaving the assigned room and playing with the Sky Tiger, which is the actual name of the Sky Tiger. Nema tells her that she is friends with Lars, and the king himself invited her to play with him the next time she visits the royal palace. However, her mother asks her to promise her that she will not meet the Sky Tiger when anyone's watching, as he is a special holy beast who uses elemental powers. When asked about elemental powers, her mother tells her that the magic spells they use draw out their mana, but the holy beasts use the divine power that fills this world, and using that energy is known as elementalism, and they use it to bond with their masters. Hearing her mother's words, Nema gets sad but promises her that she will do what she said. However, her parents get shocked at the sudden turn of events, as they thought that only animals are fond of her but can't believe she tamed a sky tiger, realizing that she has some kind of special powers. The next day, Nema arrives again at the royal palace, but this time to observe her brother and sister at school. The maids take her to the spectator area along with her family to watch the training session. Nema sits on the couch and asks about it. Her father tells her that teachers of the school use powerful magic to create soldiers, and the students command them with their mana to battle each other. Just then, the battle between her brother Ralph and one of the students of the school kicks off, and Ralph easily defeats him with his magic powers. Nema cheerfully congratulates her brother for winning the match, but she realizes that she has to go to the bathroom. After returning from the bathroom, she comes across a boy named Tristan who is bullying her brother and telling him that he will easily beat him in the next match. Angered at this, Nema makes fun of him by calling him a dummy who doesn't even know his place. Hearing these harsh words, the boy tries to attack her, but just as he is about to do it, the prince intervenes and stops him at the moment. The prince angrily asks Tristan why he raised a hand against a child, but he fearfully tells him that he will never do such a thing in his life. Hearing this, Ralph asks the prince how he knows about Nema, to which the prince tells him that he helped her the other day when she was lost at the palace. When Nema retaliates, the prince asks her to become his plaything, and in this way, she can come and go from the palace whenever she wants. Nema happily agrees, and the prince trolls her for calling him a brute. He even informs Tristan that Nema is under his protection, and if he ever lays a hand on her, he will perish him on the spot. After that, the prince looks into Nema's eyes, which are black, and wonders about it since this world does not have anyone with it. They then go to the training arena, and this time, it is her older sister Karna's turn. Her test involves using magic to defeat a monster summoned by a magic circle. She then activates the magic circle and summons a mighty holy beast, a fire dragon. Shocked at this, the commander asks the teachers to protect the students, while her father informs the prince that Karna's skill with fire is high, but her skill with water is low. Seeing her sister in trouble, Nema asks her to run, but she decides to fight the holy beast. Just then, Nema runs off and jumps to the training field, and before she can fall off, an anonymous magical energy saves her. She then runs towards the fire dragon and asks everyone not to attack him. The cutest girl, Nema, stops the guards from attacking the dragon. They avoid her, and the fire dragon's attention shifts towards her. He wonders why this little girl is here because it's not the place for her. As Nema talks with him, he tells her that they forcefully summoned him and questions why he would let them go if they are hurting him. However, she informs him that despite having powerful water magic and tough scales, he can get hurt while fighting with others, and she can't bear this cruelty. She expresses her wish to pat his scales, surprising the fire dragon, as she is not terrified. Inspired by her innocence, he bends down so that she can touch him. Watching this, the guards begin to take action, believing the dragon will hurt her, but the prince stops them, informing them that Nema is up to something. Just as she is about to touch his body, she believes his body to be hot, but opposite to her expectations, he is cool and smooth. The fire dragon then tells her that when she turns older, he will recognize her as his master. Before leaving, the fire dragon gives her an orb, saying that it will connect both of them with each other. The fire dragon understands that it would be difficult for Nema to keep the orb with her, so he tells her that she can change its form into whatever she wants to keep around her. After thinking for a while, she turns it into a teddy bear. The fire dragon then tells her that the orb connects them mentally, and she may be able to use his magic through it, which means it will help her when she is in danger. Hearing this, Nema thanks him for his kindness and asks about him, to which the dragon reveals that he is Saul and then leaves. After that, her sister, Karna, holds her in her arms and apologizes for putting her in danger. The prince also takes part by squeezing her cheeks and is glad that she is okay. Nema realizes that despite being clumsy and brute, the prince is worried about her. Watching the situation, the prince orders her father, Daeland, to take care of Nema and find a solution to this situation, believing that power-hungry people will come after her. Hearing this, Daeland believes that if something ever happens, he will kill all of them. This shocks Nema, who believes that the incident is turned into something big. Later, they are warmly welcomed into the court and given an amazing introduction. Many royal personalities are present in court and looking at them, causing Nema to get nervous. Just then, the king and queen arrive, and they discuss the case. The king is well aware of Nema's pact with the fire dragon, but Nema's father clears their misunderstanding, informing them that it is not a formal pact, and she is only eligible to use the power when she is threatened, and confirming that she will not use this power to threaten the kingdom. However, to clarify the king's doubt, he swears by his name, which if he breaks it, he will die. Nema worries about her father and realizes they have gathered to talk about this serious matter. During the discussion, the Royal Magic Research Center Director Salzer discloses that a magic circle is present, and the girl who has performed the magic is correct, but she hasn't made any flaws, and the fire dragon was forcefully called. He reveals that it was God's will, and it has nothing to do with Karna. Listening to this, Nema yells in her heart, realizing that God hasn't left her alone in this world. She believes God has done this purposely because he wants her to be familiar with all the creatures of this world. But she isn't interested in knowing about them. The high priest also shares his opinion that the holy beasts are the best things that ever happened to this kingdom, and the divine dragon appearing here is a good omen for the kingdom and can boost their spirits, allowing them to rule over the entire world. Hearing the high priest's words, Nema believes that God was talking about these kinds of people who use such flowery language to please the king and brainwash other people. Despite her doubts, she keeps everything aside because her sole purpose is to accompany fluffy animals. While contemplating these matters, the brute prince notices Nema's expression. She feels irritated by this and shoots a furious look at him. On the other hand, the brute prince realizes that she is getting bored with the current situation. So, he suggests to Nema to play with Lars, which the king of the kingdom also approves. Hearing this, her eyes light up with happiness. Lars arrives, and the brute prince whispers something in his ear, causing him to take Nema out of the court. Nema holds his tail, and Lars takes her to his luxurious place. There, she grabs a piece of meat that was already there and offers it to the sky tiger. Without wasting a single second, Lars eats the piece, sparing her tiny hands. Her hands become wet, shocking the people around her who wonder how she is able to feed Lars with her bare hand. Seeing this, a maid gives her a handkerchief, which she takes and says thanks. Watching her cuteness, the maid becomes pleased and runs away, stating that she is not worthy of her kindness. Nema ignores it and continues petting Lars and falls asleep on his body. Just then, his family arrives and sees her sleeping on Lars. Her father, who adores his daughter, admires her beauty as she snoozes. Other generals, who are well aware of the fire dragon's appearance, understand the importance of her pact with the dragon for their land. They want to keep a guard on her to prevent any harm. Nema's father, who can hear everything, is fed up with their selfish conversation, knowing it could harm his daughter, but he prefers to leave, as others express their desire to use Nema for their evil purposes. Just then, the high priest arrives and greets everyone. The high priest shares his intention to take Nema under his supervision, aiming to make her a holy maiden through education. Nema's father, aware of the potential manipulation, refuses to hand his daughter over to the high priest's supervision. He rejects the idea, knowing the high priest might turn her into a puppet for his own purposes. The father refuses, believing that the idea of turning his daughter into a doll is insulting to him. Hearing this, the high priest attacks Dayland and his wife, sharing his doubts about Nema not being their daughter. He informs them that she does not bear much of a resemblance to their other two children. Just then, Dayland's wife, Kula, interrupts their conversation and tells him that she has exchanged the true name vow with her husband, and if she breaks it, she will face divine punishment and bear the mark of fallen on her forehead. She then shows her forehead, shocking the high priest. However, the high priest still doubts her and believes that only Duke Dayland perhaps took the true name vow. However, Kula clarifies that she took the oath in the presence of the king, informing everyone that if anyone doubts her again, it would mean challenging the king himself. Later, Lars wakes up Nema by licking her face. She opens her eyes and looks at her parents. They deliver the good news that no one scolds her, and the divine beast has granted her power, so she